David's day had started like any other, mundane and uneventful. On his way home from work, his mind wandered as he walked down the cracked sidewalk, the golden glow of the setting sun casting long shadows. Something shiny near the curb caught his eye. Curious, he stepped closer and crouched down. It was a gold watch, dusty and tarnished, but its intricate engravings still glimmered faintly. He picked it up, turning it over in his hands. The back of the watch bore a peculiar inscription, "Do not rub." David frowned, chuckling softly to himself. Weird. Who writes that on a watch? Shrugging, he slipped the watch into his pocket and continued his walk home, forgetting about it until much later. After dinner, David sank into his couch, stretching his legs out with a satisfied sigh. He reached into his pocket to retrieve the watch, holding it up to the dim light of his living room. "Let's see what the big deal is," he muttered, squinting at the tiny engraving. As he tried to read it more closely, his thumb absent-mindedly brushed against the watch's surface, rubbing away a thin layer of grime. The moment his fingers made contact, the watch began to shake violently in his hand, the faint scratches on its surface glowing with a golden light. "What the?" David exclaimed, startled. He dropped the watch onto the carpet, where it pulsed with an unearthly brilliance. Suddenly, thick blue smoke began pouring out of the watch, swirling through the air. The room was bathed in an eerie green glow as the smoke coalesced into a towering figure. David's heart raced as he pressed himself back against the couch, staring in disbelief. When the smoke cleared, a muscular, bald figure stood before him. His skin was a faint bluish gray, smooth and glistening, and his bare, chiseled chest gleamed faintly in the greenish light. And his glowing eyes bore into David with an intensity that made his stomach flip. The genie stretched his powerful arms wide, his voice booming like thunder. "Ah, finally free! Mortal, you have freed me from my prison. For your actions, I shall grant you 3 wishes." David's jaw dropped, his heart hammering in his chest. "Wait, what? A genie? This isn't real, this can't be happening." "It is happening," the genie said with a smirk. "But listen closely, mortal. You have 8 hours to make all your wishes. If you fail to use them in time." He gestured to the watch still glowing faintly on the floor. "You will take my place in the watch." David's fear quickly gave way to curiosity, and then confidence. 3 wishes, huh? No problem, I can handle this. He grinned, already imagining the possibilities. "All right, let me just set a reminder. No way I'm getting stuck in that thing." David strutted over to his bedside table and set his alarm clock with a flourish. Then, pulling out his phone, he smugly set another alarm. "Just in case," he said, winking at the genie. "I'm too smart to mess this up." The genie raised an eyebrow but said nothing, his lips curving into a faint, knowing smile. "All right, let's get this started," David said, pacing the living room with a growing sense of excitement. "First wish, I want to be filthy rich. I'm talking yachts, mansions, jets, the whole deal." The genie snapped his fingers, and in an instant, David's wallet was stuffed with $100 bills. His phone buzzed with a bank alert showing an astronomical balance. David laughed, spinning around in delight. "Yes, this is amazing. I'm a freaking genius." He turned to the genie, a cocky grin on his face. "See? This is why I deserve this stuff. I'm the kind of guy who makes things happen." "Indeed," the genie said, his tone neutral but his eyes glinting. "All right, for my second wish." David trailed off, rubbing his chin. "Let's make me more handsome. Like, ridiculously handsome." The genie snapped his fingers again, and David felt a tingling sensation spread across his face and body. Rushing to the bathroom mirror, he let out a low whistle. His reflection was transformed. his jawline sharp and defined, his features perfect, his body exuding confidence. "Oh yeah," David said, grinning at himself. "This is the life. Money, looks, I've got it all." As the evening wore on, David's confidence turned into arrogance. He strutted around the house, pouring himself a drink and smirking at his reflection in every shiny surface. But soon, even that wasn't enough to contain his excitement. Grabbing an expensive bottle of champagne he'd ordered on a whim, he climbed onto the couch. "Let's go," he shouted, shaking the bottle vigorously like a wild teenager at a party with no parental supervision. Foam sprayed everywhere as he popped the cork, laughing like a madman. "I'm a billionaire. I'm a god." The genie stood in the corner, arms folded, watching silently as David pranced around in his moment of unearned glory. "You still have one wish left," the genie reminded him, his voice calm but firm. "And time is ticking." David waved him off dismissively. Yeah, I'll get to it. I've got hours. My alarms are set. I'll think about my last wish after I get a little shut-eye." He tossed his phone onto the table, smirking to himself. Too easy. Hours later, David's old-fashioned alarm clock jolted him awake with its harsh buzz. He groaned, rubbing his eyes. "Right on time," he muttered, stretching as he swung his legs over the side of the bed. Yawning, he reached for his phone, but it didn't light up. Frowning, he pressed the power button. Nothing. Realization struck him like a thunderbolt. He had forgotten to charge it. "It's fine," he muttered, trying to shake off his growing unease. "The alarm clock went off, so I'm good. I've still got time." The genie appeared, arms crossed, his expression inscrutable. "Ready to make your final wish?" David grinned, brushing off his nerves. "You bet. Let's get this over with." The genie gestured to the TV. "Perhaps you should check the news first." Confused, David grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. The morning anchor's voice filled the room. "Last night, clocks moved forward 1 hour for daylight savings time." David's stomach dropped. His face went pale. No! My phone was supposed to update automatically." He froze, realization dawning. "But it died. It didn't adjust." The genie's grin widened, and his body began to glow with a strange, otherworldly light. "Oh, David," he said, his voice filled with mock pity. "You were so confident, so sure of yourself, and yet you forgot the simplest thing." David stumbled back, panic overtaking him. "Please, no. I'll make my last wish now. Just give me one more chance." But it was too late. The genie's form twisted and shimmered, merging with David's body. Energy crackled in the air as David screamed, his voice fading as he felt himself being pulled into the watch. The genie, now in David's body, adjusted his posture and smirked. "I think I'll enjoy this," he said, flexing his hands. The watch vanished, leaving behind nothing but an empty room. Days later, in a dimly lit thrift store, a young woman browsing the shelves picked up a curious gold watch. She turned it over, her eyes catching the faint inscription on the back, "Do not rub." The scene faded to black. If you would like to hear more amazing stories, be sure to subscribe, like, share, and hit that notification button.